Drug lords used to be legends you only heard about in whispers. Now, their sons go viral. Photos in designer clothes, private zoos, gold-plated guns, TikToks edited like music videos. But behind the memes and nicknames, there's a brutal reality. They aren't just playing at being narcos. They're inheriting empires. Tonight, we're not looking at the old bosses. We're looking at the next generation, the cartel princes, the heirs who were born into blood instead of earning it. How do you grow up when your childhood home is a fortress? What happens when your first lesson isn't math, it's murder? And what does it really mean when one of them finally falls? This is Cartel Heirs, 5 fallen princes of the narco world.
They called him El Raton, the mouse. But nothing about his life was small. He was born into an empire, son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, raised between Culiacan mansions and remote Sinaloan ranches, a childhood guarded by armed convoys instead of babysitters. Where other kids learned to ride bikes, Ovidio learned how to count cash by the brick, how to speak in code, how to tell friend from informant. As his father's Sinaloa cartel grew into a multinational drug corporation, Ovidio was quietly being shaped into management. By his 20s, he was no longer the narco kid hiding behind El Chapo's shadow. He was running his own operations. His specialty? Synthetic drugs, especially fentanyl. This was no side hustle. Ovidio and his brothers were tied to a tidal wave of chemicals. Precursor shipments from Asia, super labs across Sinaloa, pills and powder flooding north into the U.S. Then came October 17, 2019. Culiacan woke up like any other day. It did not go to sleep the same way. Mexican security forces moved on a small house. Inside, Ovidio, a few bodyguards, no time to escape. They had him. For a few minutes, the state had done the impossible. They had put the mouse in a cage. Then the city exploded. Within minutes, cartel convoys surged through Culiacan. Heavily armored trucks, .50 cal sniper rifles, belt-fed machine guns, grenade launchers. They blocked highways with burning vehicles, attacked military housing, surrounded army bases, and threatened the families of soldiers. Civilians filmed it all. Parents covering their kids with store shelves as bullets tore through supermarket glass. Cars riddled with gunfire on what used to be normal streets. Cartel gunmen moving like a private army, not criminals. And then the decision that changed everything. Under direct orders, the Mexican government let Ovidio go. The message was brutal. One captured kingpin versus an entire city at war. They chose the city. The Chapitos walked away with more than a leader. They walked away with a myth. We made the government back down. For 3 more years, Ovidio ran labs, commanded gunmen, and expanded his piece of the fentanyl machine. Until January 5, 2023. This time, Mexico came prepared. Black Hawk helicopters, armored vehicles, special forces. They hit his stronghold at dawn. Again, Culiacan burned. Again, the cartel fought back. But this time, the military did not retreat. After hours of fighting, Ovidio surrendered. He was moved to Altiplano prison, the same high-security fortress his father once tunneled out of. The world waited to see if history would repeat itself. Instead, something else happened. In September 2023, under tight secrecy, Ovidio was extradited to the United States, taken to Chicago, indicted on massive drug trafficking, weapons charges, and conspiracy to flood the U.S. with fentanyl. The mouse had finally been caught for real. But here's the problem with a machine this big. You can remove one gear. The engine keeps running.
You can't talk about Ovidio without talking about his brothers. Collectively, they're known as Los Chapitos. Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, 4 sons of El Chapo. 4 different roles inside the same machine. Think of them less as sons of a drug lord and more like executives in a multinational corporation, each one responsible for a division of the business. Roughly, Ivan, muscle, territory, enforcement. Jesus Alfredo, logistics, routes, corrupted officials. Joaquin, money, shell companies, real estate, offshore accounts. Ovidio, synthetics, meth and fentanyl. They didn't just inherit their father's empire, they changed the product line. The old Sinaloa cartel got rich on cocaine, heroin, marijuana. The Chapitos made their real money in industrial-scale methamphetamine and fentanyl by the ton. Their operations stretched from labs in Sinaloa, Durango, and Chihuahua, through border states like Sonora and Baja, into U.S. distribution hubs like Phoenix, Chicago, Atlanta, New York. They weren't tossing bundles over fences. They were bribing customs officers, hiding shipments in legitimate cargo, using chemical suppliers, shipping companies, and front businesses. At their peak, bribes weren't envelopes, they were budgets. Police departments, prosecutors, and politicians turned into overhead costs. When you hear about pills that look like prescription meds but contain fentanyl, entire neighborhoods hit by overdoses, a significant portion of that trail runs back to the labs operated by or aligned with the Chapitos. The U.S. government knows it. Washington has publicly named them, issued multi-million-dollar rewards, and sanctioned companies they use as fronts. Mexico has launched operations, claimed arrests, sometimes hit their enemies harder than them. Still, as of now, 3 brothers remain free, learning from every arrest, cutting ties faster, trusting fewer people, pushing deeper into the shadows. Ovidio's fall hurt them, but it didn't end them.
Most cartel stories end the same way: prison, extradition, or a body on the ground. Not all cartel princes even make it to the throne. Years before Ovidio became a headline, another of El Chapo's sons, Edgar Guzman Lopez, was killed in Culiacan in 2008. He was young, wealthy, protected, and he died in a hail of bullets outside a shopping center. Edgar's murder was a warning written in blood. Even the sons of the most powerful are not untouchable. Rival factions, betrayals, and miscalculations can find anyone. His death deepened internal feuds, fueled retaliations, and helped push Sinaloa deeper into fragmentation and chaos. Why does this matter for Ovidio's story? Because it shows something important. Even inside narco royalty, the line between heir and target is thin. The Guzman name is not a shield. It's also a bullseye. The Chapitos grew up with that knowledge: a dead brother, constant attacks, kidnappings, and ambushes from rivals. Every move they make isn't just about money, it's about survival. That's why when you see Culiacan burn for Ovidio, you're not just watching a rescue attempt. You're watching brothers trying to make sure their fate doesn't match their brothers'. Narco dynasties don't age gracefully. They either break from the outside, by arrests and extraditions, or they break from the inside, when the family turns on itself. In the Guzman story, both are happening at once.
Every time one cartel family rises too high, someone else takes it personally. While Sinaloa's heirs were expanding their fentanyl business, other groups were building their own empires. Cartels known for public brutality, rivals famous for leaving bodies on bridges and convoys on highways. You could think of one rival faction in particular, the kind often linked with professional soldiers turned enforcers, radical violence, rapid expansion across multiple states. Their leaders also have sons. Their commanders also have heirs. These rival princes watch what happens to the Chapitos, study their successes and their mistakes, adjust their own strategy accordingly. Where Sinaloa once favored negotiation and corruption, rivals lean harder on terror and spectacle. Where Sinaloa built alliances, rivals bust into new territories with open war. The point is this: taking down one heir or even one family doesn't end the cycle. It just shifts the balance of power. The next generation of cartel heirs in Sinaloa and Jalisco and other regions all grow up seeing the same thing. Governments that sometimes hit hard, but systems that are easy to buy, and a marketplace that never seems to run out of demand. In that environment, a fallen prince isn't a warning, he's a vacancy.
We all know the famous names: El Chapo, El Mayo, El Mencho, Ovidio. But the future of these organizations isn't about the faces on posters. It's about someone you'll never see. A young relative, a trusted lieutenant's son, a kid who grew up watching his father count money and clean guns. Right now, somewhere, a teenager is being taught how to manage a stash house, how to communicate without phones, how to tell a corrupt cop from a real one, how to disappear a problem. We don't know his name. That's the point. He's the insurance policy. If Ovidio is sentenced to life in a U.S. prison, the Sinaloa cartel won't shut down. It will shift leadership, close some routes, open others, promote someone younger, hungrier, less known. The system is designed to replace the fallen. That's what makes this world so hard to dismantle. It's not built on one man's charisma. It's built on a structure that trains the next man quietly, in the background, from childhood. By the time we learn one heir's name, there's already another one in line.
On paper, the story is simple. El Chapo falls. His sons rise. One son, Ovidio, is captured, freed in the citywide war, then captured again and extradited. End of chapter. But the reality is more complicated. Ovidio Guzman Lopez, sitting in a U.S. cell, is a victory for law enforcement, a symbol for governments needing a win, a message to cartel families that the world does not forget. But in Mexico, fentanyl labs still operate. Chemical shipments still cross oceans. Guns still travel south. Money still moves north. And in both countries, addiction continues, overdoses continue, communities break under the weight of a market that never empties. This is the brutal truth. Taking a prince off the board does not end the game. It slows it down, changes who gets paid, changes who gets killed. But until corruption cracks, demand drops, and kids in cartel zones are given a future that doesn't involve a gun or a grave, there will always be another El Raton waiting in the wings. If you're still here, you're not just interested in headlines. You want to understand how power really works in the shadows, and what it costs to challenge it. If you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, subscribe to the channel, like the video so it reaches more people, and tell me in the comments, do you think high-profile arrests like Ovidio's actually weaken the cartels or just force them to evolve? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed, and don't mistake a fallen prince for a fallen empire.